Good evening, everybody, and thanks for giving us a chance to come and talk to you tonight. I'm coming at this from a very, very different perspective to what you've heard so far this evening. I want to talk to you about why you should rent the accommodation to a refugee family. And I'm going to talk through briefly about who we are, and I'm accompanied with Jill and Lindsay tonight from Tyneside Welcomes. Who we are, what we're doing, why we've come to see you tonight, but also look and see what the opportunities might be. I think it's fair to say, and it's already been touched on this evening, that when we agreed to be part of the forum tonight to make our case here, we didn't imagine that the events in Ukraine would be so much in everybody's minds. The scenes are upsetting and the experience has been devastating, but the resolve has been quite fantastic. But believe it or not, it's the same reason that we are here tonight. In Syria and elsewhere, there have been very similar scenes when Putin laid waste to people's homes, towns and country. The ancient city of Aleppo was effectively destroyed. And all of these things create a mass movement of people similar to what we're seeing in Ukraine. And it has been these events which has led to the developments that I want to talk about tonight. About 4 or 5 years ago, Tyneside Welcomes was set up to assist in a community resettlement of refugees. Now, many people in the room might well remember in 2015, the then Cameron government agreed to take 20,000 Syrians over a 5-year period. Well, our work is in addition to that. But as the name suggests, it's a number of community-based organisations who are taking this forward. It could be you. It just so happens to be us. So the principle here is that we agree to take a family from usually a war-torn area to settle them in the UK and particularly in the northeast. At the moment, there are across the country probably around about 150 community-based organisations doing something very similar to what we're doing now. And what we then offer is a team made up of ourselves to provide wraparound support to that family. We don't get anything from government for this, and we raise our own finance. So naturally, we think it's better because we're fully invested in the case. We may be volunteers, but we're not amateur in what we're doing. We'll have many professionals working as part of that volunteer group. Anything from housing, which is my background, education, engineering, health, social services, play and youth, the list goes on. So it's a very wide selection. But we believe settling a family in the northeast is a very worthwhile venture and worth investing in. The family's chance to avoid the very difficult circumstances that we see on our screens today, and which they've endured in some cases for several years, are only now resulting in getting a new opportunity. We do have one family. We have a family that moved into North Tyneside last July. But even that was significantly delayed because of COVID. But with new branches joining Tyneside Welcomes during this year, we hope that that one will become 4, 5 and even 6 by the end of the year. There are certain restrictions on what we'll have to do. We'll have to work through the Home Office. We're approved by the Home Office. But with the help of the UNHCR, we hope that we can offer the help that's needed, because they organise the other end. They see the families, they assess the families, and then they can match what we have to offer with that. So we hope that we can offer what's needed to the family, and that includes what we can source from landlords. Which brings us as to why we're here tonight. We've come to the forum because we want to consider all the housing options. and hence you're certainly an active part of that consideration. We are looking at public sector, we're looking at RSLs, we're looking at faith groups, because in some cases, some faiths have more presbyteries than they have priests, you know, and therefore they have some stock available. But particularly tonight, we're looking at the private rented sector. Now, I've worked with the private sector landlords in previous roles, and I welcome the flexibility on the issues that face you, but also how flexible they're going to be in accommodating needs that are presented to them. But we recognise the business model for landlords and what you need from your operation. We have to source the accommodation, but we won't be the tenants. That'll be the family. But we do bring a sharpness to the way that these relationships are developed, but also provide good support directly to the tenants. So our experience is not only relevant to procuring and managing properties, but also much wider to assist the tenants, as I've mentioned earlier. We're hoping that the incidence of forced migration may find a home here as part of your portfolio. What we're looking for is property to be available, but the requirements of our relationship with the Home Office ask for that property to be available for 2 years. Affordability is something that we also have to look at, and we hope to acquire accommodation which is at LHA rates, or at least start a discussion about what that might look like, as well as to plan for opportunities for the future. It may be 1 now, it may be 3 or 4 during the course of the year. When we're talking about looking at opportunities, well, that's about what works for landlords as well as what works for us. And through us, I mean also the tenants. The family has to be able to survive and make their own way. Our support is to facilitate access to services, make them feel comfortable in their environment, as well as the property they live in, and help them plan for the future of their life in the UK. But that support from us may not be for more than a year, at which time the client may be self-sufficient in their dealings with all aspects of their life here, including with you potentially as their landlord. So the benefit for you, question I suppose is, are we worth investing in along with the tenants, given what we're looking for? We think so, but we are building in support with the impact, and the impact of that will be a good tenant. It'll be reducing any management problems, which then leads to reduced voids. It means reduced management costs. It means much reduced reinstatement costs. We believe that there are opportunities for Tyneside Welcomes to be a host group to more people being able to settle in the area, and we're working hard to achieve that, as well as providing opportunities for the private rented sector to engage in this success. And we urge you to talk to us about how you and your portfolio can help. Our contact details are here. We've also got a small stand at the back, and I'll be happy to talk to you. So thanks for listening, and thanks Martin for giving us the opportunity.
Thank you very much, Vin. Does anyone have any questions for Vin? Vin, you mentioned families there. So family presumably means a couple plus kids?
Yeah, I mean, we have, to give you an example of the family we have now, we have mother and father and two lads, and the woman's currently pregnant. But they've been with us since July, and they're already now looking as to what their next steps would be. But another property that we're looking at is potentially 5 beds. One thing that we do know is that some of the demands that we're being asked to consider is for larger families. There may be not necessarily the nuclear family, may be slight additions to that, say grandparents or parents of parents, and what have you. But we're going, the next offer that certainly I'm coordinating is one for a property which could be as big as potentially 5 or 6 beds. So we're looking at what that might look like. That's actually a church property, but we're looking at any and all opportunities really.
So it's not, you don't want single bed studios for single people.
No.
It is at least a parent or parents and kids.
The basis of the resettlement programme that was set out initially by the government in 2015 was about vulnerable persons, but effectively that all families. So I would probably say a minimum of 3 beds, but we'll look at anything beyond that.
Thank you very much.
How fast do you move on this sort of thing? So if I got a property and it came on, I have got a 5-bedroom property it is empty at the minute, but it'll have people that hopefully get it back soon. Like, the phone rings off the hook when we get 5 beds up.
Right.
If you're talking Cramlin and Blythe and places like that, the family who was in there had 7 kids. So in terms of...
I get that.
If I'm saying
Yeah.
I've got a 5-bedroom property coming on next week, like how quick do you move compared to say? Because obviously I've got the council ringing the phone, like, come on, I need more big houses and stuff.
I'm not promising it's going to be quick. The reason for that is the relationship we have with the Home Office, because we have to make a submission to them to get an agreement from them that they'll accept the proposal that we're putting forward. Once they've agreed that, then the matching up of that takes place. What they have said is that from time of application being agreed to arrival, we're probably talking about 4 months? About 4 months.
It's going to be hard for you then to get landlords on board.
I get that. I get that.
Like,
But it's,
if we're prepared to do it, would be one. It's like,
I know. But I suppose also at the end of the day, it's about how your current tenancies work. You know, if you know something's coming to an end in a few months' time, you know, that might be an opportunity to lead into a discussion with us about how that could be managed.
Can I just add, it's also, the Home Office will pay void costs for up to 8 weeks to help that process, so there is some time.
I was just about to ask if there's any way, because you might want to help, but someone's got to pay the mortgage. Don't mean to sound mean, but yeah, we've got bills. But if there was support towards voids, then that might make it a bit easier if it bridges the gap a little bit.
Yeah.
We also have to work with the relevant local authority, and we're working towards getting approval. We have North Tyneside, hopefully we'll have Newcastle, and we're also going to be working with Gateshead, because we have to work quite closely with the local authority. I don't know what that quite adds to it, but it can cause delays.
Landlord from Northumberland Council, so I'm on their list kind of thing. But like I say, as soon as it comes up, they're like, right, we've got this family of 12, we need to move into your house or whatever. That's great.
I've got some flexibility in budget as well, in addition to what the Home Office will pay in void costs to try and secure properties and others in void costs.
But I think it is about how we manage that process. And I think the engagement with forums like this is quite important, because if you're saying in about 3 months I might have something, can we start a discussion about what that might look like? We could then come along, see what it offers, and then start a process at our end. You know, so it is about that. Now, because I think there's always going to be that overlap. There's always going to be a time where it's empty before we've actually got the family. And that's when those kind of void costs can come into their own, really.
Thank you very much, Finn.
Okay, thank you.